You're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Now it's time to take a look at the news stories making headlines around the globe. Beginning with Nigeria, where the army says tens of Boko Haram insurgents around communities in Adamawa State have been dislodged by soldiers involved in the fight against insurgency. Aminu Iliyasu, Army's Corporate Operation Media Coordinator, made this known in a statement on Thursday. According to him, the soldiers have been on relentless clearance, and after flushing the insurgents out, their flag was lowered in one of the communities. Iliyasu also said Tukur Buratai, Chief of Army Staff, extended his goodwill message to the troops, asking them to remain resolute in their efforts at clearing and destroying all the hideouts and enclaves of the remnants of the insurgents across the country. Well, it's about time that happened, don't you think, Mr. Krabati?
Yeah, I think it's a good development,
yes.
And the military should be commended. This is under Operation Lafia Dole, or what they call Operation Rufe Kofa. And, you know, every effort that is made by the military to decimate the ranks of the Boko Haram and ensure safety in every part of Nigeria and ensure the protection of the integrity or the sovereignty of the Nigerian state, I think it's something to be commended.
Absolutely.
And in June, on the occasion of June 12, when President Buhari spoke, addressed the nation, he had specifically pointed out the military for their commitment, for the efforts that they are making. However, this latest information coming from Iliyasu, the spokesperson of the military, we should see it against the background of a recent altercation between Defense Headquarters and the governor of, I think, Borno State.
Yes.
The governor had pointed out that, look, the Boko Haram had already seized some communities and had hoisted flags. Now, Defense Headquarters denied that and said that the governor was raising unnecessary alarm. But what this has confirmed is that the governor clearly knew what he was talking about. So I would like to say to the Defense Headquarters that, look, everything is not about PR. It's not about just making statements. They have to back it up with facts and be sure that what they are telling the Nigerian people is truthful.
Exactly.
Now, just a few days after that disagreement, now they're saying they are lowering the flag of Boko Haram. They are chasing, insurgents away from a local government in Adamawa State. So I think that, we now know the truth, that the threat of the Boko Haram, of terrorism, remains a living threat. And it's good that the reviewed national security strategy covers this and recognizes this, and that President Muhammadu Buhari himself personally, has expressed his determination to continue to support the armed forces to make sure that this threat is reduced. Now, at a professional level, Iliyasu, the spokesman of the military, the statement that he issued, I think he should pay more attention to his punctuation, in terms of the structure and the syntax of the statement that he issued. I see that he has problems with punctuation. So next time he issues a statement, he should just make sure that his punctuation is correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, moving on now to the convener of the Revolution Now protest, Omoyele Sowore. He has been nominated for the Prisoner of Conscience Honor Award by Tom Lantos Human Rights Commission of the United States House of Representatives. Prisoners of conscience are persons imprisoned for the peaceful expression of their political, religious, or other conscientiously held beliefs, or for their identity, even though they have neither used nor advocated violence. Now, the announcement came barely 3 days after he was released alongside former National Security Advisor Dasuki Sambo from the custody of the Department of State Services, DSS. This was on the order of the Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Mr. Abubakar Malami, following local and international pressure. The AGF said the decision to release him and Dasuki Sambo was in compliance with the bail granted them by various courts. This is a good development. For one, people are going to... It makes it more obvious that Omoyele Sowore is not a terrorist. He's not somebody that should be scared, people should be scared of. He's someone that people need to aspire to be like. This is a good. But I'm curious as to how the government is going to, take this nomination for this award. Looking at the fact that they're trying so hard to, clip his wings, and this just further elevates him.
Well, I think for Sowore and other prisoners of conscience that are still in custody in Nigeria, more nominations will come, more recognitions will come. Those nominations will turn into awards and celebration by the international community. What the Nigerian government must realize is that we live in a global community. We live in a global environment whereby there are standards, there are values, and the international community watches what goes on in Africa's biggest market, Africa's most populous country, Africa's biggest potential country. And as a result of this, in the Sowore case, we want that the way the Nigerian government was going about his matter, they were going to turn him into a hero. And that's precisely what has happened. Amnesty International was the first to come forward to say Sowore is a prisoner of conscience. And Amnesty International is not a frivolous organization. Now, after that, over 200 civil society organizations in Nigeria queued up behind Sowore and said it is not an offense for a man to say he wants change, he wants revolution, and that the Nigerian state cannot prove his case, even if that case is in court. The court will determine that eventually. And then you've seen the United States, the European Union, the United Kingdom, also defending the right of Omoyele Sowore to express himself, to stand up against government, to criticize, to even organize protests, which is a legitimate fundamental human rights. But the Nigerian government says no, it wants to destabilize the country. But nobody seems to believe the Nigerian government. The pervasive opinion out there is that Sowore is being persecuted. And that's why this recognition is beginning to come. This may be the second one or the third one, but more will come. So in spite of themselves, the security agencies in Nigeria, they've turned Sowore into a hero and a symbol, an international symbol for activism, for freedom of expression. Maybe that's Sowore's destiny, but at the end of the day, circumstances turn people into heroes.
Absolutely. But I'm curious, with all this international attention this case is getting, do you think there's a possibility that they might just decide to drop these charges?
It is possible. It is within the powers of the Attorney General of the Federation to enter a nolle prosequi. If he doesn't do that, the case may just go on, and it will simply just disappear. Or the courts will say that the federal government of Nigeria has no case. And Falana has already been, that's Falana SAN, the counsel to Sowore, has been talking about a no-case submission. That may well succeed. But I think what is more important is not for the government of the day to persecute people or to intimidate people. President Buhari himself has been talking about legacy. He has been talking about history. At this point, the people who advise him, his strategists, the people around him, who call themselves either cabal or kitchen cabinet, what they should be doing is how to assist this president, who has been military president and has now been a civilian president, how he can leave an enduring legacy. The narrative at the moment does not favor him. They have to change that narrative and make sure that he ends up on the positive side of history. If they continue with this kind of thing we have seen with Sowore, Bakare, and Colonel Sambo Dasuki and Zakzaki, they may be pushing him to the wrong side of history.
Absolutely. Now let's go to Kazakhstan, where 14 people died after a passenger plane crashed shortly after takeoff from the Almaty airport. The Central Asian Countries Emergencies Committee said that 100 people were on board the Bek airplane, including 5 staff. 9 people, 6 of them children, were injured, according to the committee. President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev pledged to provide families of the victims with compensation and tweeted that those responsible will be severely punished in accordance with the law. Tokayev also said that a government commission had been set up to investigate the circumstances surrounding the tragedy. I don't think any compensation can make up for situations like this. And this is why people get angry. This is why, for example, with Boeing, you're seeing so many people not even satisfied, even when they have, removed the COO. People are still clamoring that, look, you need to change the structure entirely because compensation doesn't really make up for the loss.
Well, I think what is instructive is that the president of Kazakhstan has said that a special investigative commission will be set up to find out what led to this particular accident, and that those who may be responsible, and I think in that regard he's talking about likely negligence, either on the part of the airline or the pilot, or maybe the aviation authorities. He has said that they will be severely punished.
Yeah.
But of course, I think it's very unfortunate. 85 adults on board, 6 children, 5 infants, and 5 crew members. At the end of the day, about 28 persons were said to have died. 60 persons are in hospital with all kinds of injuries. What happened was that the plane crashed into a 2-story building, but I think it was good enough that it didn't explode in flames, and that's why the casualty figure is low. And you see, this is the contrast. Everybody was celebrating Christmas, but in Kyrgyzstan, you have a plane crashing. In Burkina Faso, you had 35 Christians being killed on Christmas Eve. And in the Philippines, you had the whole of the central Philippines, overtaken by Typhoon Fanfone. So joy, sadness, during this season. Yes. I guess that's the way it is. That's how life is.
That is how life is. Well, let's head out to a short break now. Stay with us. When we get back, we'll have some more on the morning show. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to the morning show. Still on the news making the headlines around the world. In the Philippines, at least 28 people have died when a Typhoon Fanfone tore through the country, leaving a trail of devastation. Several island homes and power lines were destroyed by the storm, with gusts of up to 190 kilometers. Now, many people are missing and thousands have been left stranded. Typhoon Fanfone made the landfall on Tuesday night, but continued to pass over the many islands of central Philippines through Christmas Day. Now, more than 58,000 people were evacuated ahead of the storm, and about 15,000 others were stranded at ports when ferry services were suspended.
Food, blankets, toiletries, those are important. Whatever items that can be useful and helpful to us, that's what we are appealing for. I hope we receive help.
Just as he said, very, very sad, especially the fact that they're even stranded now.
Yeah, it's another, prototypical man versus nature story.
Yeah.
And again, this happening during the season of celebration of Nativity, as I pointed out earlier, shows us, contrast in human experience. This is the 7th typhoon this year in the Philippines alone, a region that is, a natural disaster prone. And as you pointed out, 58,000 persons have had to be evacuated. Communication is down, electricity is down, there's a lot of stress. But luckily enough, as at Thursday, yesterday, the typhoon had eased and is heading towards the South China Sea. When it landed on Tuesday, it landed at the rate of about 200 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
And caused so much devastation, so much disruption. And what we see here, either in the Philippines or in Mozambique or elsewhere, is how man is usually at the mercy of nature. With all the immensity of the powers of the human being, we stand helpless, in front of nature. But this particular typhoon is known locally as Typhoon Ursula, but the international media reports it as Typhoon Fanfone. It's said not to be as devastating as, the typhoon that occurred in 2013 in the Philippines, which claimed up to about 6,000 lives. But every life is important.
Every life is important.
We shouldn't compare 28 to 6,000 in 2013. But what is important is the efficiency of the disaster management agency in the Philippines, responding very quickly and seeing how people can be helped. So many people are still stranded, but I guess that, with the effectiveness of the disaster management authority, all of that would end in due course.
Absolutely.
But nature, here is man. So important, so all-seeing, but so helpless.
That's why there's such a huge conversation on climate change now, improving the environment. So the future isn't worse than what we have today. So it gets better. Well, right now, it's time to talk some sports. Aaron Akere Jala joins us now to discuss the biggest stories in the world of sports. Hello, Aaron.
Good morning to
Good
you.
morning. How do you do?
I'm doing good.
Amazing.
Enjoying the festive season.
Aaron, good to see you.
Doctor.
Still in that mood?
All right, let's actually, in a bit of, I think one particular field that's probably shared the same kind of workload we do, all right, in terms of always coming to work on festive seasons, footballers in England.
Are you complaining?
I'm not complaining. I love it. I love it.
Are you sure?
No, in all sincerity, because it just, I'm not the celebratory kind of person, so it actually gives me an
But you
opportunity
do
to do
celebrate
something.
Christmas, right?
Not necessarily, I actually slept.
Well, it's
Okay, let's tell you that Jose Mourinho says making Premier League stars play 2 games in 48 hours is a crime. The sports boss saw his side come from a goal down to break Brighton and Hove yesterday. They now travel to play Norwich tomorrow evening. Mourinho said, and I quote, "How can they play a game in less than 48 hours? The distances, the run, the sprints, the intensity, how are we going to control all that? It's a crime that they are going to play football again on the 28th. And it goes on and on about this. Now the point is this, the Premier League festive season is actually prime television in the UK. And they've tried everything humanly possible, or the actors in the Premier League, to change that. But the body that controls these fixtures, they see this as a money-making venture. Because in the UK and around the world, there are little major activities going on, while probably in Spain, in France, in Germany, and every major league will be going on public holidays. The Premier League are being made to play every year on the 26th, on the 28th, and also on the 1st.
I'm curious, there must be some type of incentive attached to this, isn't there? Because like you said, it's a huge money-making venture, but at what point do you separate people's desire to just have some rest and relax from your desire to make extra money? So is there some type of incentive, attached to this game that could maybe make them understand that
Not that I know of. As a matter of fact, it even gets worse. For clubs that haven't done well, the managers like Manchester City, for example, banned the players from attending Christmas parties.
No.
Yes, we took that on this program. Yes. But in any case, Jose Mourinho should not complain. This is another opportunity for him to prove that he has a solid team. He has a good team. When he lost his dog, when his dog died, I think on Christmas Day, he said he will move on. And rather than complain, he should just move on and then go and play the match with his boys.
But I'm actually advocating for them because these people need rest.
No, but let's be honest. This is how I see these things, It's a job. And before you get in there, you know what you signed up for. So when you get in there, let's understand that this is football. They pay them a whole lot of money. So
what does international best practices say? If there are 5 major leagues in the world, the leagues in England, Spain, Italy, France, and probably the Netherlands and the rest of them, all 4, save the English Premier League, all go on break. They've gone on break last week.
I'm sure that if you earn as much as some of those players, you won't complain. If you are asked to play every day.
Can I also add Christmas?
You can talk about international best practice, yes, but talk also about the job that needs to be done.
Exactly, there's a job that needs to be done. That's how, for sometimes it's just over enjoyment.
Don't worry, Mourinho. He's full of theatrics, so he will complain about anything.
Okay, true.
Yeah.
But he's one of the best.
But he's the voice to the voiceless sometimes, as they say. All right, to not really palatable story, let's say the West Ham star Michael Antonio crashed his Lamborghini into a woman's front garden wall while dressed as a snowman on Christmas Day, it has been reported. Antonio smashed a £210,000 hurricane into a Korea's Rosina's being shared as the 20-year-old was about to eat Christmas dinner with her family in Barham, south of London, at about 6:30 p.m., according to reports. The Premier League ace had earlier posted an Instagram video of himself in the costume singing, walking in the air, the theme for the children's classic animation, The Snowman.
Michael Antonio.
Okay. Yeah.
The snowman. In any case, I think accidents happen.
Yeah.
But I hope that in this particular case, that has not been proven, that he was not drunk, because he was coming from training. Yeah. So we could say accidents happen. And in any case, if you earn £70,000 per week, you are likely to slip off on the steering wheel, even if that has not been proven.
No,
but what I find disturbing about this is that after crashing into another person's garden, disrupting their Christmas Day celebration, and destroying their beans, he didn't offer an apology. He left the scene without apologizing and without even giving any assurance that he will be responsible for the repairs. No, I think he should be made to offer an apology to the owners of the home, and also made to pick up the cost of the repairs.
Of course.
We know that, yes, he went on later to play in less than 24 hours. So that shows that he had enough presence of mind to focus on his job. But he has to make reparation, make restitution for the damage that it caused to another person's property.
Now, we're talking about players and how much they earn and the recklessness that actually comes with it. This is probably the 26th crash in the last 3 years from footballers when you look at them in England and in Europe, because probably they have fast cars. They drive a Lamborghini, they drive a Ferrari.
It's like £1 billion, isn't it?
Yeah, thereabouts.
If you convert it to naira.
If you convert £210,000. And you wonder how the recklessness in which they just damage these cars, because the money is there to always replace them. There is no care. There is no care in what they do. Most of the time, there's no even thought, because Sergio Aguero, we could go now about it, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, all these players, at every given point in time, because probably they know that they can always replace these cars. They're a danger not just to themselves,
but to other people
around them.
I completely agree with what you're saying, but let's also understand that it's the star factor. There are sport players as well who have as much, who are not as extravagant or careless. So it happens across the board. Kevin Hart just narrowly recovered from his own crash. He almost lost his life. He was in therapy. He had to go through surgery. He almost couldn't work. So he's just coming out of that. So time and time again, we've seen celebrities with that same star factor get into issues like this. So I think it's not just, that they pay them so much money. There are even actors, musicians that have access to this kind of money as well, that just don't know how to behave.
In this luxury arena, I'm sure you have had much better exposure than the two of us. What is the difference between a car? Some of us drive cars. Some people drive machines. I don't know whether you've been inside a machine before.
No. You see, the thing
What's the difference?
The difference is there's car and there's motor. You need to understand. There's motor. A lot of us drive motors. And then when you have motor, you now have car. You got to say it right, car. Because, you can't just say it anyhow. You got to say the word right, car. It's like you're in the air.
That feeling on top of the world is what gets them into trouble.
Exactly, it is.
That feeling on top, because the point is, you should have a duty of care to people around you if you don't even care about your own life.
You are driving a car of almost £1 billion, and you go and crack. If I drive a car like that, I'll be so careful.
30 miles per hour. You'll be moving 30 miles per hour.
No, I think it was also with the celebrations on Christmas Day, just being overly excited. But Aaron Akerejola, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
For letting us know what's going on. All right, that's all the new headlines we have for you today.